Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare 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 Ram.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's all yours.
Thank you, Prabhu. Are we able to listen?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm able to hear you.
Okay, you're okay. So happy Dwadeshi to everyone. Happy Saturday. Can I request someone to kindly please do a Jai Radha Madhava for 5 minutes?
Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, I can do. 1 minute. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava जयो कुंज बिहारी जयो गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जयो गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनार्दन यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनार्दन जय यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन जय यशोदानन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरवन चारि यमुनातीरवन चारि जय यमुनातीरवन चारि जय कुंज बिहारी यमुनातीरवन चारि राधा रास बिहारी जय यमुनातीरवन चारि राधा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जगत गुरु प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय श्रील प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Om Shuklam Bharadram Vishnum Sarivarmam Sadrupujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashantiye Yasyatma Bhutasya Guru Prasadat Aham Vimuktoshmi Sharira Bandhat Sarvopadeshtu Purushottamasya Tasyan Giri Padma Pranatosmi Nityam Prahlada Narada Parathra Pundarika Vyasamrisha Sukha Saunaka Bhishma Dalbhyan Rukmanga Uddhava Vibhishna Palgunadin पुण्यानिमां परम भागवतं नमामि। जन्मादि अस्य यतो अन्वयादिरतश्च अर्थेषु अभिज्ञास्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदय आदिहवये मुह्यन्ति यः सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृतां यथा विनिमयो यत्र सर्गो अमृता धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्सकुहं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्म प्रोचित कैतव अत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृत्किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृदि अवरुध्यते अत्र कृतभिः शुश्रूतभिः सत्सनात्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतं द्रवसंयुक्तं पिबत भागवतं रसमालय मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। वासुदेवे भगवती भक्तियोगप्रयोजितः जनयाति आसु वैरागं ज्ञानं च यत् अहैतुकम्। शृण्वतां स्वगतः कृष्णपुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विदुर्नोति सुहृत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति न इष्टकी। वासुदेव परा वेदा वासुदेव परामकाः वासुदेव परा योगा वासुदेव परा क्रियाः वासुदेव परं ज्ञानं वासुदेव परं तपः वासुदेव परो धर्म वासुदेव परा गतिः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामदुःखशमनं तं नमामि हरिं परम्। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining this morning Bhagavatam session. So we are going to continue a couple of slokas from where we left last Saturday, where Priya Mataji did 1.5.7. It's all about Narada Muni conversation with Vyasadeva. And at this point, in these two slokas, Narada Muni pinpoints exactly where the problem is that Vyasadeva is having. Let's recite this sloka and then we can get to the meaning and purport of it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Narada Uvacha Bhavanta Prayam Yasho Bhavato Amalam Ene Vaso Na Tushyatha Manyetad Darshanam Kilam Yata Dharmadasya Chartha Muni Varyanu Kirtitaha Na Tatha Vasudevasya Mahimahi Varnitaha. So just to save time, we'll just go ahead with the word by word meaning and the translation. Maybe I can request someone to please read the word by word. And one request, if I can ask, it will be really nice. At least one person turns on their video, so at least I feel that I have someone to look and talk to. It really helps me. Otherwise, all blackboard and Thank you, Hare Krishna. Kiran.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
So, 1.5.8 Srimad Bhagavatam, word by word meaning. Sri Narada, Uvacha said, Bhavata by you, Anudita Prayam, Anudita Prayam, almost not praised. Yasyaha glories, Bhagavataha of the personality of Godhead, Amalam spotless, Yena by which, Eva certainly, Asau he the personality of Godhead, Na does not, Tusyeta be pleased, Manye I think, Tat that, Darsanam philosophy, Kilam inferior. Shall I continue to read 1.5.9 also, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please proceed.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.9. Yata, as much as Dharma Adyaha, all four principles of religious behavior, Cha and Arthaha, purposes, Munivarya by yourself, the great sage Anukirtitaha, repeatedly described, Na, not, Tata, in that way, Vasudevasya, of the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, Mahima, glories, he certainly, Anuvarnitaha, so constantly described.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Can someone else read the translations, please?
SP 1.5.8. Sri Narada said, "You have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless." SP 1.5.9. Although great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles beginning with religious performance. You have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality, Vasudeva.
Thank you, Mataji. Can someone else read the purport? One slide per person.
I can read purport. The eternal relation of an individual soul with the super soul, personality of Godhead, is constitutionally one of being the eternal servitor of the eternal master. The Lord has expanded himself as living beings in order to accept loving service from them. And this alone can satisfy both Lord and the living beings. Such a scholar as Vyasadeva has completed many expansions of the Vedic literatures, ending with the Vedanta philosophy, but none of them have been written directly glorifying the personality of Godhead. Dry philosophical speculations, even on the transcendental subject of the absolute, have very little attraction without directly dealing with the glorification of the Lord. The personality of Godhead is the last word in transcendental realization. The absolute realized as impersonal Brahman or localized supersoul Paramatma is less productive of transcendental bliss than the supreme personal realization of his glories. Continue to read, Prabhu.
Yeah, one slide you can read and someone else can read the next slide.
The compiler
Sorry.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
No, you can complete, Mataji, and then someone can read the next slide.
The compiler of the Vedanta Darshana is Vyasadeva himself, yet he is troubled, although he is the author. So what sort of transcendental bliss can be derived by the readers and listeners of Vedanta, which is not explained directly by Vyasadeva, the author? Herein arises the necessity of explaining Vedanta Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam by the self-same author.
Please, everyone remember this particular paragraph. This is going to be the key discussion for our presentation today. This paragraph, what you just read. So someone else can read the next.
Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu. The prompt diagnosis of Sri Narada is at once declared. The root cause of the despondency of Vyasadeva was his deliberate avoidance of glorifying the Lord in his various editions of the Puranas. He has certainly, as a matter of course, given descriptions of the glories of the Lord, within parentheses, Sri Krishna, but not as many as given to religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation. These four items are by far inferior to engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. Sri Vyasadeva, as the authorized scholar, knew very well this difference, and still, instead of giving more importance to the better type of engagement, namely devotional service to the Lord, he had more or less improperly used his valuable time, and thus he was despondent. From this, it is clearly indicated that no one can be pleased substantially without being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is clearly mentioned. After liberation, which is the last item in the line of performing religiosity, etc., one is engaged in pure devotional service. This is called the stage of self-realization or the Brahmabhuta stage. After attainment of this Brahmabhuta stage, one is satisfied, but satisfaction is the beginning of transcendental bliss. One should progress by attaining neutrality and equality in the relative world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you to both of you. And the last one, can someone else read, please?
After, and passing this stage of equanimity, one is fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the instruction of the personality of Godhead in the Bhagavad Gita. The conclusion is that in order to maintain the status quo of the Brahmabhuta stage, as also to increase the degree of transcendental realization, Narada recommended to Vyasadeva that Vyasadeva, should now eagerly and repeatedly describe the path of devotional service. This would cure him from gross dependency.
Thank you, Prabhu. Om Ajnanam Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadha Mahyam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamcha Sri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vichanta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhavevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I just want to tell, we may pass our given time, depends on how it goes. So kindly bear with the time. But if anyone have any commitments and they have to drop, please do so at whatever time you want to. In this sloka, two slokas, these are the things that we are going to cover so we can understand what has been said in these two slokas. We'll understand what is Vedas. I'm sure you're all very familiar with what Vedas are, many of these things. It's just a refresh for most of you. So nothing I'm going to tell new here, but it's a refreshment in a different angle, that's all. So we'll know about a little bit about Vedas. What does darshana means? Because in the 8th sloka that we read, darshanam kilam, Narada Muni says, darshanam kilam. So therefore, I picked on that term called darshana. And often it's said in that purport about Vedanta Sutra. So you all again know these things. So we'll see what is the purpose of Vedanta Sutra, where it fits into the whole picture of Vedas and so forth. And then the viewpoint of Vedanta Sutra of Baladev Vidyabhushan, and what's the purpose and what's the reason for Srimad Bhagavatam manifested as per Jiva Goswami. And with that, we can conclude that about Vedas. Vedas are the source of all literatures. So, who must study Vedas? It is said, Tattva Jnanat Mokshalabha Ajnanat Samsaraha. This is very important to know that if someone wants to get out of this entanglement in this world, not just because we are suffering here, but wanting to attain the spiritual world and serve the Lord there. Because every school of thoughts have the same point or philosophy that we want to get out of this world. Because samsara dukkham is very difficult. We are suffering. But in our Krishna consciousness movement, yes, we do agree that samsara is not a friendly environment. We are suffering here. But that is not the only reason we want to get out of this world. The main reason behind that we want to be out of this prakriti is so that we can go back to Krishna and we can serve there. One may ask, well, that is what I'm doing here. Pretty much I'm serving here. It is true that we are serving here to our best capacity, but we are time bound by our services. We are not doing 24 by 7 days, 365 days in a year. So we have other commitments, other responsibilities. Even while we are doing our services, there are so many interruptions happens. We fall sick, we get headache, we get body pain, we have some diseases. If everything is good, we have been mentally tortured by someone else. So sometimes people think, I don't want to come to the temple because this devotee offended me or did something is not good with the temple. So why should go to the temple? So all sort of things becomes an interruption in our services in this world. If there is no difference between the service that we are doing here and in the spiritual world. But there are interruptions constantly happens in many way or the other in our life while we are doing Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we should be knowing that in spiritual world, when we return back, there is no matter, there's no chance of any interruption. There is no adhya, and there is no problems that are going to be caused by the tapatrayam, all that you know about adhyatma, adibhauta, adidaivika. None of those things going to be an interruption in a service in the spiritual world. Therefore, we also want to go back to Krishna for that reason, not to simply escape from the sufferings that we are going through because of our karma. So, tattva jnana to moksha labha. How do we attain Krishna? How do we go back to Krishna? Tattva jnanam. Tattva jnana means we need to know the tattvam. Tattva means the absolute, the truth. Unless and until we know the truth, we will not be able to attain moksha. The knowledge itself becomes a means for one to attain moksha. Right? So it's very important to know under this point. That is called sambandha jnana. One should know the purpose of their existence. One should know who they are, and one should know where they are going, and one should know who they have to get connected to. So these are all called tattva jnana. When we have this tattva jnana, that becomes the moksha labham. Moksha labham means that becomes our labham, the gain to attain moksha. The opposite of that is ajnanatu samsaraha. If we don't have any of this knowledge, then we are going to be settled down in samsara. Samsara means In my language, in my mother tongue, samsara means wife. But in actually samsara means that where we go into repeated life of cycle of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age. That is samsara. That is this prakriti, is samsara. So the wife can be a samsara to pull us down into this material world, or the wife can be the one who can help us to deliver from this samsara. Therefore, she can be called as samsara. So now that is just a side note, not to anything related to this topic today. So samsara. So important that we cultivate our knowledge about Krishna, cultivate knowledge about ourselves, cultivate knowledge about how do we connect with Krishna, sambandha abhidheya prayojana, and what do we get out of having that connection and reaching to Krishna. And that is why we in this group, we are all gathered here for only one reason, tattva jnanat moksha labhaha, so that we can all cultivate knowledge. We are doing everyday Bhagavatam study. We are meeting on Saturday mornings. Everything related to cultivating knowledge. That's what we are trying to do. Why are we cultivating knowledge? So that we can be proud of our knowledge? No. Ultimately, the purpose of gaining knowledge is to understand I'm just insignificant. Nothing. That is a point that we have to come after gaining knowledge. After gaining knowledge, if we think that, well, I think I know better than so and so. I've read all these books now. I've got so many things now. So I know everything. So when we get to, by studying, one should become humble. By studying, if one becomes arrogant, one becomes proud, then the whole purpose of education is lost. Whole purpose of education is lost. And I'll tell you one story at the end of this presentation, if I remember, how so much to study, but little we know. Another quotation from one thing, it is said that whatever we learned is just a handful. What yet to learn is the size of a mountain. So therefore, what we think we know is nothing. There is so much to learn, so many things to understand. Therefore, where do we get the knowledge from? We get knowledge from Vedas. And who must study Vedas? What we discussed right now. Those who want to find means to satisfy their desires. I have some desire that want to be fulfilled. Then I need to know how to, I can satisfy my desire. So that person who wants to satisfy their desire to attain that object, they have to approach Vedas. Well, I can approach Google. I can approach that book and this book. Well, those things are all we can approach. But that which Vedas says as the ultimate goals in our life, which can gradually and progressively elevate our consciousness. But any other means that we have in this world, not necessarily going to be so beneficial as the information provided by the Vedas. So what is that? One may be desiring. Everything that we desire comes and falls into 4 categories: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. These are the things that everything falls into, because one may be very much interested, not interested in popularity, not interested in gaining some wealth, not interested in going to heavenly planet, but they simply want to do dharma, charity. They want to help poor people. They want to do puja. They want to do, donate to some organization, or dig well, take care of the orphans, aged people. These are all dharmas. So one may want to do dharma. Therefore, Vedas teaches how to perform dharma. One may want to accumulate wealth of this world. So the Vedas also teaches how to do that one. If you want to get the wealth of everyone, including the neighbors, including your subdivision, including your county, there are procedures that Vedas teaches. How there's a yagya called Vayavya Yagya. When one performs Vayavya Yagya, the wealth pours from the sky. you get all the wealth. So there are things that teach us how to get the wealth. Artha is there. And then one may be interested on being satisfied of going to a heavenly planet. My enjoyment here is very temporary. I feel that I'm falling sick. One day I enjoy, the second day I'm falling sick. One day I am sick, another day I'm able to enjoy. So it's this frequent, the duration of my pleasure, the duration of my enjoyment seem to be, again, restricted for some reason. Therefore, I want to find my enjoyment for an extended period of time, right? So what should I do? Well, Jyotishtoma Yagya. You perform a Jyotishtoma Yagya, you will go to a place where you can have a long-term, very extended period of enjoyment. You can enjoy the life to the max. That is Swargaloka, or any other Chandraloka, or any other lokas. We can go and have our enjoyment so much so that. And then these are all discussed in the Vedas, plus also one who feels and come to a point that, well, even when I go to the heavenly planet, the enjoyment over there seemed to be also, though it is long, extended, long period, but it looks like even I have to come back into this Brahma Bhona Loka, Punaravartano Arjuna. Even if I go to the Brahma Loka, looks like I have to come back into this material world. Therefore, even happiness over there seems to be time-bound, it's limited. So can I find an happiness where it is not restricted by time, where I can always be in bliss, in happiness, not tormented and tortured by any of those pains and pleasures, not by any people, not by any natural calamities, not by even my own mind, where I can be happy for eternity. That person then approaches and studies Vedas, and he can find answers in the Vedas for that as well. So people in general are interested in all these four things. Now, with that basic understanding about who approaches Vedas, now we need to know some truth about Vedas. What are the important things that we need to know are the four truths. Vedas are eternal. Vedas are not created. Vedas are eternal means it is nityam. It is not created means apurushaya. It is not created by anyone for that matter. And the Vedas are the source of any literature that you can take, the Vedic literatures. There is Puranas, Itihasas, and Kavyas, and whatever you can name it. Everything, the source of everything is Vedas. They are there because of Vedas. Therefore, Vedas are the source of everything that we study. And then Vedas are not only source, but also it exists all the time. It is not that during the Pralaya period, Vedas doesn't exist. Right now, we go and do a search in the internet. Rig Veda, we will get it. Sama Veda, we will get it. So we can get all the Vedas just right in the tip of our finger. We can just get everything out of internet. But when the Pralaya happens, there is no cable connection. There is no internet service providers. In fact, we will not have homes. We will not have even body. We won't be having body when the Prakrita Pralayam happens. Pralayams are four types. One of the Pralayam is called Prakrita Pralayam. That means even Lord Brahma is finished. Not one Brahma, all the Brahmas are finished. That means where is the question of going and checking in internet about Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharvana Vedas? It's not possible. While we don't even have a body. But the point is, even during Pralaya time, the Vedas exist. How is it that possible? Because Vedas are not actually written. It is all spoken by one person to another person, from that person to another person. Therefore, it keeps getting transferred to all those different personalities in the Guru Parampara. Well, in the Pralaya time, where are the Gurus? Where are the Sishyas? Where is the Patashala, Ashrama, where the Vedas can be recited? Well, the Vedas still exist in the heart of the Lord. Therefore, Vedas never get perished. It is eternal It is not created, it's apurushaya. Not, by the way, it is not even created by God. Sometimes people in the Nyaya Shastra, their understanding and their philosophy is that the Vedas are created by God. But in Vaishnava tradition, in our philosophy, Vedas are not even created by God. It exists. Like how Jivatma exists, how Kala, time exists, how Paramatma exists, that is the Supreme Lord Ishvara exists. Like that, the Vedas exist eternally, all the time, Apurushaya. Now, there are 18 Vidyasthana, essential scriptures that we need to be aware, including the Vedas. They are 4 Vedas that we all know, which is Rig, Yajas, Sama, Atharvana. Shakas are the how many sections in each of these Vedas. There are 21 Shaka in Rig Veda. There are 101 Shaka in Yajur Veda. In Sama Veda, 1000. Atharvana Veda, 9 Shakas. But not everything is available right now. One should not say, oh, not everything is available, then what's the use of studying Vedas? That is not what we have to say. Whatever is available, we study. Like, for example, Brahma Samhita is just a 1 chapter of the entire thing. But we take Brahma Samhita and we study that one. Right? What we have, we study. We can't give a layman reason. Only I will do if that Shatakoti, 100,000, 100 crores of Ramayana slokas are available, then I will then I will read 24,000 slokas of Ramayana that we have right now. That is not how we understand this. Whatever we have, we must try to study. So 4 Vedas out of 18 Vidyasthana, there are 4 Vedas, and then 6 Veda Angas. Veda Angas are Siksha, Chandasi, Vyakarana, Niruktaha, Kalpaha, Jyotisa. So these are 6 Veda Angas. Veda Angas means the limbs of Vedas. Without studying these 4 Vedangas, one cannot understand Vedas. What is Siksha? Siksha means to learn the pronunciation of the letters, how to pronounce, how to put things together, when to say when to say right? All this pronunciation, how to pronounce when the pronunciation of certain words from the navel, from the chest, from the throat, or from the tip of the tongue. So it's all depends on how the word and the words are combined together. That's how we have to do it. Therefore, Siksha teaches us how to pronounce these things. Chandasi, to grasp the count and nature of the letter. So sometimes we have to divide certain letters in certain manner and certain ways. You cannot just simply go on studying things like straight in a line. That's not possible. Chandasi, there are different chandasi. Gayatri is one of the chandasi, right? So every sloka has a certain meter in a way that it has been written. So many chandas are there. In what meter? And with 8 syllab or 12 syllab or 16 syllab, that is chandasi. Vyakarana. Vyakarana is to identify the components of the word and their meaning. Vyakarana. Vyakhyana means purport, commentary. So Vyakarana is also the same, to understand the meaning of the word. If we go if we don't know the meaning of the word, even though we are able to study the slokas, it doesn't make any sense to us. Niruktaha. Nirukta is to learn the meaning of the complexity of the word. Complexity of the word. Every word has so many meanings. In English, lotus means lotus flower. Whereas in Sanskrit, the words are not defined by the person. The person are the dhatu. For example, Padmaja. Padmaja means we all know lotus flower. But the nature of an object is how defines the name of that object. Padmaja means, ja means to take birth, born. Padha means jalaja. Padma means where there is in a lake or where there's a muddy area, which is born from the muddy area in the lake is Padmaja. Based on its nature, the name is given in Sanskrit. So those are some details about the Nirukti. Kalpa means the performance of Vedic deeds. In Vedas, so many things has been explained. How to perform the Vedic deeds. We can know all this thing, but we need to know how to perform these things. That is explained in the Kalpa. Jyotisha. Jyotisha means the time when we can do what. We cannot, today is Dwadeshi. It's a day where we should do a parayana, means we have to break the fast and study some scriptures. Today is not Ekadeshi, so we need to know all these things. So that is 6 Vedangas and 8 Upangas. I'm just not going to go the same way that I did the previous slide. It is just going to take 2 hours if I go in the speed. So excuse me, but we are just going to go a little faster now. It's already 7:42. So Puranas, Nyaya Shastra, Mimamsa Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Artha Shastram. So these 8 plus the previous 6 and previous 4, right? So here and here 4 Vedas plus 6 Vedangas, which is makes us 10, and an 8 Upangas makes us 18 Vedastanam. Those are the important things that we need to know. Now coming back to the Vedas, Vedas are divided into 2 parts, the 4 Vedas, Purva Kanda and Uttara Kanda. The Purva Kanda gives instructs about Aradhana. Aradhana means how one should perform devotional service, how one should perform puja, how one should perform worship. That is all part of Purva Kanda. Majority of the portion of the Vedas, of the 4 Vedas, or Purva Kanda, are all about this one called Karma Kanda section, also known as Karma Kanda section, how to perform certain pujas. That is Aradhana. Whereas Uttarakanda, the second half, it's not exactly half and half, that's now it is, but the second part of the Vedas called Uttarakanda is Aradhya. Aradhya means the first part told about how to perform puja, worship, devotional service. The second part talks about to whom that puja should be performed. Who is it? Aradhya Purusha. Who is that Purusha, that person to whom what we learned in Karma Kanda, what we learned in the Purva Kanda can be applied to, and that is Uttarakanda. Therefore, we can understand and see from this, it is not that we neglect one and take another one. Both Vedas has its place. Everything is important in Vedas. Without understanding the Purva Kanda, we cannot perform puja to the Aradhya Devata, right? Therefore, Purva Kanda and Uttarakanda makes a complete Vedas. In the Uttarakanda, now we are focuses, now that we are coming to the second part of that is called Uttarakanda. We are going to focus on Uttarakanda. This Uttarakanda is nothing but Upanishad, are also known as Veda Anta. Veda Anta. They are also known as Jnana Kanda, Brahma Kanda. There are different names by the terms that can be referred to the Uttarakanda. Upanishad, Vedanta, Jnana Kanda, Brahma Kanda. What does it all leads us to? This means, Upanishad means that which is learned in secret, sitting close to the Guru. And that is called Upanishad. Upa means close. And then here the instructions, the secrets from a Guru. And that is called Upanishad. That which grants us the knowledge using which we can get rid of the pains of samsara. The Upanishad gives us the ways that we can gain knowledge, remove the sufferings of samsara. That means the moksha labhaha, the tattva jnanat, moksha labhaha. That part of the Vedas which directly preaches about God. In the previous part, that is Purva Kanda, there are many devatas being mentioned. There is no specific mention about who is that one person that I need to worship, where I can take care of everything else. And that comes only in the Uttarakanda, Upanishad, in Vedanta. Now the question is Vedanta, who must study Vedanta? A person who has a strong conclusion. The Karma Kanda, that is the Purva Bhaga of Vedanta, cannot yield me the everlasting fruit. Whatever I'm going to get out of that is going to be perished at one point of time. Therefore, those who did that karma kanda, come to an understanding that is not going to be my long-term benefit. Therefore, what am I supposed to do now? Now I have to do meditation, dhyana, bhakti to Supreme Lord. So with that understanding, this person comes to the second part of the Vedas called Veda Anta. Anta means at the end, concluding part, at a conclusion. Vedas Anta means end of Vedas, that is Upanishad. Then he comes to the Upanishad. And the Vedanta is also known, and this Vedanta, that is Upanishad, also known as Vedanta Darshana. Vedanta Darshana. Darshana, that leads us to the other section of the presentation here. Darshana means that by which supreme truth or known is referred to as Darshana. There are many, many ways that we can understand God, learn the tattvams, many, many ways. And the ways and means by which we can see and understand the absolute truth, that many, many ways are called darshan, darshana. Darshana. One of the darshanas, Vedanta Darshana. Vedanta Darshana. But it is not only one. Now, the darshana is divided into two. Astika Darshana and Nastika Darshana. So we must be thinking that we are speaking about a spiritual topic here and Vedas and so forth. But even within that, darshana is classified into Astika and Nastika. Astika darshanas are those means, are those ideas or ways that is adopted by one who believes in existence. We'll talk about what that is little in a few minutes. Astikas are one who believes in existence, and Nastikas are one who doesn't believe in or believes in non-existence. That is Nastika. Astika means yes, it is there. Asti means yes, here it is there. That means existence. What is the existence? Existence of Atma, existence of Paramatma, existence of Vedas. Those who believe in Atma, Paramatma, and Vedas are Astikas. Those who do not believe in Atma, Paramatma, and Vedas are Nastikas. So Darshana can be classified into two, Astikas and Nastikas. One who believes in existence and who doesn't believe in existence. Now let's see who are the Nastikas who doesn't believe. They are the Bauddha Matam, Jaina Matam, and Charvaka. And Prabhupada mentions about this thing very much. In fact, our invocation prayer, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshunun Militemana Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Agnyas, excuse me, I was chanting some other. Om Ajnanam Timirandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshunun Militemana Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So these verses, Namamo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvisesha Sunyavadi. You see this one? We offer our this Pranama mantra to our Guru Parampara starting from Prabhupada. Nirvisesha Sunyavadam. Sunyavadam, nothing but this Bhauta Matam. Sunyavadam. Because they say nothing exists. Everything shunya. Shunya means zero. Everything is zero. That is Sunyavadam. Atma is not Nitya, is Anitya. It is Anitya. It is just a momentary. It's momentary. Atma is momentary. And they don't believe in Vedas. It is apramanam. It is not pramanam. It is apramanam and non-existence of God. Jaina Matam is also like Bhauta Matam. They say the Atma keeps changing. They are quite interesting. If Atma takes a birth of an ant, the size of an Atma is the size of an ant. If the same Atma in the next lifetime takes a body of an elephant, then the Atma expands to the size of an elephant. That is Jaina Matam. They also do not agree to the Vedas. They also do not agree to the existence of God. Quite interesting. But you see that they also go to the temple and so forth, because it's all their original philosophy is come down. So you cannot really find a true Jaina or Bhauta. Charvaka is quite interesting. They don't even believe in the existence of God. At least the Bhauta Madam, Jaina Madam say something. They don't agree to, but they speak something about Atma. But Charvaka says, what are you telling? There is nothing called body, nothing called Atma. Your body is what? Atma. Atma is what? Body. Sharira Atma Bhavana. Sharira Atma Bhava means Atma and Sharira is one and the same. Who knows? You had a previous life. Who knows? You will going to get a next life. As long as you have a life, enjoy your life king size. Right? That is Charvaka Matam. In Ramayana, Charvaka Matam has been explained. It's been told. Jabhali, there is one of the minister or guru in the kingdom of Dasaratha by name Jabhali. He exactly speaks Charvaka to Rama himself directly. He says, what are you talking? Karma, bad karma, sinful reaction, going to hell by being coming. Kanava, nothing is true. Rama becomes totally upset when he heard Jabhali philosophy. Now let's move on to Astika. Astika darshanas are Nyaya Darshana, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. Again, each one is a vast of knowledge and education. People spend on just one of these darshana for the entire life. Still, they won't be able to finish it. That is the greatness of these darshanas. Nyaya Darshana, which is school of logics, rules and logics, which is by Gautama Rishi. Vaisheshika is Kannada, where he says that everything is by the Anu. Anu means everything, small particles comes together and becomes this world. That is Vaisheshika Matam. And Sankhya, they goes on the numbering process. There are numbers of the Prakriti, and that's Prakriti and Atma. When the Prakriti and Atma comes together, the world gets created. When they get dislocated, disassociate, the world gets destroyed. So everything is based on these elements, Prakriti and Jivatma combination. That is Sankhya Mada by Kapila. Again, there is a couple of, when you read Prabhupada's purport, you will know that this is the Sankhya which is prominently known in the Vedic society. But Prabhupada says the Sankhya, the Kapila who's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam is a different Kapila who's incarnation of the Lord, where this Kapila that we are talking about is not that Kapila. Prabhupada differentiates these two Kapilas. Yoga Shastra is quite popular, which is by Patanjali Yoga Shastra, where linking oneself with that supreme consciousness. And then Mimamsa means how one should perform the Purva Bhaga, how one should perform the Vedic rituals, or in detail explained in the Purva Mimamsa, by Jaimini Muni. And then out of all this five, the last one, which is Astika Dharshana, is by Veda Vyasa. That is nothing but Vedanta Sutram. That is Uttara Mimamsa. That is also Mimamsa. So Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa should be studied together, because Purva Mimamsa has 16 kandam, 16 sections. It's all about Devat worship and Devatas worship. And then the fourth part of Uttara Mimamsa makes it together as Vedanta Sutram. That is the end of knowledge. Right. Now, there are three prasthanams. I heard several times that you all know, very familiar with these prasthanam. One is called Suti Prasthanam. Second is called Smriti Prasthanam and Sutra Prasthanam. Any great acharyas who establishes a school of thought, they for sure keeps their hands on these three prasthanam. That is Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is the Uttara, we saw the Uttara Mimamsa, which is written by Veda Vyasa, and that is called as Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra. And that is Sutra Prasthanam. So whether it's Ramanujacharya, whether it's Madhvacharya, whether it's Adi Shankara, any of the these three schools of thought are very important, because from that three schools of thought, many branches came out. Many branches came out, including Achintya Veda Abheda Tattva, which is our Gaudiya Sampradaya, which is also part of this, one of these three principal acharyas. Madhvacharya. So therefore, every great acharya will do commentaries on these three prasthanam, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and then Brahma Sutra. Sutra Prasthanam. Now we are not going to speak about Upanishad and we are not going to speak about Bhagavad Gita. We'll concentrate on the Sutra Prasthanam because our subject matter for today from the today's verse is Sutra Prasthanam, Brahma Sutram, Vedanta Sutra or Vedanta Darshana. Now, this Vedanta Sutra has 4 parts. Adhyaya, Adhyaya means chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Samanvaya Adhyaya, and then Avirodha Adhyaya, Sadhana Adhyaya, Phala Adhyaya. These are the 4 topics discussed in the Sutra, Brahma Sutra. The first one is that Brahman. Brahma means absolute truth. This is why, please note the terms that we are using here. We are using the term Brahman or Brahman, right? Not Brahma. Brahma is different from Brahman. Brahman, 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 Brahma. Brahma is totally different. That is one of the Jivatma, highly qualified, highly pious person who has been appointed as a secondary creator of the universe. That person name is Brahma. Brahman is one who created that Brahma. They are not one and the same. So the Vedanta Sutra speaks about Brahman, Brahman, not Brahma. So Brahman, that Brahman is that sole cause of creation, sustenance, destructions of the world. This is the subject matter for the first Adhyaya, Samanvaya Adhyaya. The second chapter, Avirodha Adhyaya, discusses some of the objection, because there are different schools of thought we just saw, right? We saw here, over here, there is Nyaya Shastra, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, and all these different schools of thought. They have their way of understanding. They also have their own understanding. Therefore, they come up with some objections. And there are also others like Nastika Darshana that we saw, Bhauta, Jaina, Charvaka. They have their own way of interpreting things. Therefore, Avirodha Adhyaya by Vedanta, in the Vedanta Sutra by Veda Vyasa, defeats those understanding objections that's raised. These are all defeated by Vedanta Sutra by Veda Vyasa. And then in the Sadhana Adhyaya, what is meant by salvation, moksha, what is really meaning of that one? What is that all about? We keep speaking about attaining the supreme abode, spiritual world, moksha, salvation, liberation. What is all about? That is all described and explained in that particular third Adhyaya. Phala Adhyaya means Phala Adhyaya where the glories of the place that we are going to go, the salvation. What is that we will attain, or what is that we are going to be benefited or we're going to get by salvation, moksha? That is explained in the fourth Adhyaya or Phala Adhyaya. So that with these 4 chapters in Vedanta Sutra, now Vedanta Darshana comes into the picture. That is, this Vedanta, right, one of the 6 schools of thought written by Vedavyasa, has been commented by great saints, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Baladev Vidyabhushan, Vallabhacharya, and Nimbarkacharya, and many other saints. They have all commented on Vedanta Darshana, which is Vedanta Sutra, based on their philosophy. Shankara, same verses, same Vedanta Sutra, which is written by the same person, Vedavyasa. Shankara comments on that in the basis of Advaita philosophy. Ramanujacharya does a commentary on the same slokas, same sutra, not slokas. Sutra means it's encapsulated. Many things are encapsulated into one line with few words. So that is sutra, but deeper meaning. One can even do a PhD just using one sutra. That much wealth of information in that sutra. Now, Ramanujacharya writes his commentary based on Vishishtadvaitam. And then Madhvacharya writes a commentary on Vedanta Sutra using Dvaitam. And Baladev Vidyabhushan does commentary on Achintya Veda Abheda Tattva. Likewise, every Acharya does commentaries on these things. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, where a view on Vedanta Sutra is this one. May I request someone to kindly please read this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Is it okay if I request someone else to read? You already got a chance. Maybe you can give opportunity to someone. Thank you, Arun.
I'll read, Prabhu. One who has studied the Vedas, Upavedas, and Upanishads, understood them, associated with a self-realized soul, and in this way understood the difference between the temporary and the eternal, who has lost all attraction for the temporary and chosen the eternal, becomes a student of the 4 chapters of Vedanta Sutra. It cannot be said.
That's an important verse, that Vedanta Sutra is so very important. This is comment by Baladev Vidyabhushan. It's very important to, especially for those who have interested in the self-realization and who knows and want to know details exactly about the temporary and eternal differences, so forth. Please continue.
It cannot be said that simply by completely studying and understanding the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, one will naturally take up the study of Vedanta Sutra. They who have studied Karma Kanda but not associated with saintly devotees do not become eager to understand Brahman. On the other hand, they who have not studied Karma Kanda but who have become purified by association with saintly devotees naturally become attracted to understand Brahman.
So there's 2 things. One is by the path of going through the Purva Bhaga, Purva Kanda, and then coming to the point of wanting to understand Brahman. Another thing, easy approach is also just by associating with the devotee, saintly person, one can naturally get invoked of wanting to understand Brahman. Again, whenever I say Brahman here, please excuse me. In our understanding, Brahman means that which is impersonal and effulgence, light of God. Just keep that correct understanding aside. But whenever we are using here terms at Brahman, when I'm trying to explain that in this, in a humble attempt, Brahman, Krishna, Paramatma, I keep interchangingly using those terms. It all means that in the person, Krishna. So kindly do not get confused with whenever I say Paramatma, whenever I say Brahman, whenever I say Krishna, I'm telling 3 different aspects of understanding God. That's not how I am having in my mind when I am trying to say this one. I am meaning it's all Krishna, because otherwise it becomes so complicated and confusing that whether the Vedanta Sutra is speaking about that light effulgence, or it is talking about Krishna, or it is talking about the person within our heart. So let's not get into the complicated discussion, rather understand Brahman, Paramatma is all one and the same for our discussion as Krishna, the person in the beautiful transcendental form. Thank you. The purpose of Vedanta Sutra. This is quite very important. Why even Vedanta Sutra is needed in first place? Vedas are there. And why is Vedas are not sufficient enough, which is having the Upanishad? There are many Upanishads are there. Principal Upanishads are 10 Upanishads. But there are many Upanishads are there. When these things are there, why even we have to have Vedanta Sutra? What is the purpose that Vedavyas have to write Vedanta Sutra? It is very important to know that one. Here is the thing. Some of them have some objections. They say Upanishad is not at all needed. The Vedanta Shastra, which is Upanishad, it is just waste of time. It doesn't bring us any value. Upanishad does not bring any value. And they have 4 important objections against the Vedas, especially the Vedanta, which is Upanishad. 4 main reasons. Those are different schools of thought. They go against the Upanishad. What are they? The first reason they object that Vedas doesn't need to be studied, Upanishads are not needed. Number 1, cultivation of knowledge about an existing entity is not possible. This is again, each one of this is going to take a longer time to fully understand, but we will try our best to make sense of what has been said here in this slide. Cultivation of knowledge about an existing entity is not possible. If I have to say something, then my sentence that I'm saying should be involved with some action. If there is no action involved in my statement, there is no knowledge that's going to come out of it. That is their objection. Because when we read Upanishad, it talks about the existence of God. God exists. He is almighty. He is omnipresent. He is omniscient. All these things are mentioned in Upanishad. But by knowing those things, what knowledge, how is that going to help us? That is a Siddha Vastu. Siddha Vastu means that which is already existing. What am I going to gain knowledge from out of it? If there is an action involved in those statements, then only it brings up knowledge, and the Upanishads are useful. I'm sure this is going to be confusing. Please focus and understand. It's going to be otherwise very hard. If I say, Ravi, can you please go and bring that laptop here? I'm saying this statement. And there is a child, Samanvi, is sitting next to Ravi. And then she is hearing this statement that I told to her father, go get laptop from there. So she's watching what's happening. Now, Ravi Prabhu is getting up. As soon as the statement is passed to him, he's getting up, going to a distance. He takes a laptop and comes and keeps in front of me. Now, someone who doesn't have any idea what laptop is, what has been told here, she doesn't know. Ravi, she knows, of course, her father. Go get that laptop. When I said go get that laptop, 4 words are there. So she needs to know what go means. Get that laptop. Unless and until she knows the meaning of each of this word and then connection to these words, she will have no clue what's happening there. When she sees her father goes and brings the laptop and places in front of me, then she starts relating that this statement is something to do with an action. And laptop means this object. Now I'm going to tell, it is not going to be complete yet. Now I'm telling Ravi, go get me that apple. Now Samanvi is watching, Vaishvi is watching, Samanvi is much more bigger. Vaishvi is watching. She's saying that, what is happening here? My father is now going. He brings not the laptop, another laptop, but he brings an apple from there and keeps it in front of me. Now she relates it. Go get that is common between these 2 statements. Previous statement has this 3 words, and this statement has the 3 words. What differed what? That last word, laptop, and over here, apple. That means now she can correlate. That means this is related to an action. Go get, that means one has to get up and get, bring. What I have to bring? That word is laptop means this one. That word apple means this one. Therefore, by this, that Vaishvi now gets a knowledge. In Vedas, in the Upanishad, there is nothing like go get this one. In the Upanishad especially, there's nothing like go get this one. It's like, Brahman, the Supreme Lord, is cause of all causes, creator. And so there are only statements are there. There's nothing as an that is going to bring knowledge. Therefore, a school of thought says we reject Upanishads. Another school of thought says that Brahman cannot be understood based on lakshana. Lakshana means attributes or qualities. So I say that now, Shanta Mataji. Someone is coming and asking me a direction to go to Shanta Mataji's house. I'm standing in the corner of her street, and someone is coming and asking me how to get to Shanta's house. And I'm telling that you see there that house where whatever the color of car that you have, gray color car which is standing in the parking lot, that is Shanta's house. And then now that person goes, and then you can get to the house. Another way of telling Shanta's house is you see that house which is in green in color with the black door, and then the things in the whatever the decoration, that house is Shanta's house. There's 2 different things completely. When I said this one, the one that I said now are the attributes which cannot be removed from the house. Don't tell me you can repaint and all those things. Please understand, we are not debating here. just to make this theory, this objection understandable, I'm trying to say something here. So that which cannot be removed from the main object, right? That is Visheshana. Visheshana is that which cannot be removed from it. Gunam, which can also be said Gunam, cannot be removed. That identification which can be removed, but can be identified to identify that particular object, are also an attribute, Upalakshanam. They are Upalakshanam. They are not part of it, but like this. Let me show you. It will be more helpful. Can you tell me in this crowd who is Lal Gopal Das? The one who is there with a white kurta, and then forget about white kurta, because I can change the white kurta to red kurta. The person who is there with a beard, with the gray hairs and things like that, a tilak, and who has a short ears and wide, whatever it is, a short nose and whatever it is, right? That person is Lal Gopal Das. Well, one person can identify that person who is in this identification, dark complexion and short and fat and etc. etc. Another way of telling is this one. The one who is wearing the specs glasses over there, plus that person who's having a beard, etc. So the glasses that I'm wearing is also an identification for me, but the glasses can be removed. But though by this two ways, we can identify a person or an object. But Upanishad, on the Upanishad, we cannot identify the Lord by Lakshanam or cannot by Upalakshanam, cannot be identified. These things. There are reasons why they see this one, but we're not going to get into the exact details of these things. For that reason, Vedanta Sutra was written. And the third reason is Shastras are useless. Because why the Shastras are there? The Shastras are there to tell about God. Why even you need to have Shastras to know about God? It is not at all needed. Don't we know that this cell phone exists? When the cell phone exists, there must be a creator existing to create this cell phone. Answer is yes. Yes. I don't see even one person turned on their video, so I'm assuming you're nodding your head. So for anything that has been created, any object that we see, then we know that there must be a creator. The Upanishads talks about creator. Why even we need to know the creator through the Upanishad when we already know for the existence of some object, God is, something is there, someone is there. So that is what Upanishad is saying. By Anumanam means inference, we can understand that God exists. By Anumana Pramanam, Anumana means by inference, logically thinking, it is obvious that God exists. That is the third reason why the people say, therefore, we don't need Upanishad, we don't need Vedas to tell us God exists. We don't need that. That is their objection. The fourth objection is, there is no use of such knowledge about Brahman at all. This is the ultimate thing. There's no use of knowledge, because by knowing something that has to bring us some benefit, it has to bring us some benefit. By reading Vedas, what benefit are we going to get? There's no benefit. There's no benefit at all. Yes, God exists. God is creator. God is sustainer. God is destroyer. Everything comes from him. Everything goes back to him. He is a controller. Well, so what? So what? It doesn't really do anything to me by hearing these terms. It doesn't really help me. Therefore, Upanishad, Vedas are not needed. This is the fourth reason the objection is being raised. Let's see here. Therefore, Vedavyas, Chatustuti, he wrote first four sutras in the entire Vedanta Sutra, which has 4 adhyayas, 45 sutras. The first 4 sutras are key sutras, very, very, very important, just to defeat those 4 things that we saw. Atato Brahma Jijnasa. By telling this first sutra, he defeats that first objection which is raised, that cultivation of knowledge is not possible by studying Vedas. No, it is possible by studying Vedas. He gives reasons. Again, this session is not to go into the details, but to give just an overview of how Vedavyas has done a great upakara, great thing for the society to safeguard the Vedas. What he has done is great, amazing. Otherwise, we will be struggling. right? The second sutram is in Janmadasya Yataha, and Janmadasya Yataha defeats that objection which it says that God cannot be understood by Lakshanam. And he says, no. We can understand God by both of the Lakshanas, both types of attributes. We can understand him. And he goes into the details by this sutra. That third sutra is Sastra Yonitvat. The Shastras are useless. Since we already know we can understand God exists by Anumanam, we don't need any other Pramanam. Vedavyasa says, you know what? Anumanam Pramanam is also useless. Only Shabda Pramanam. Pramanam by the Shastras is valid, is the only way we can understand God. That is by this third sutra. I said there's no other way, because by Anumanam, by inference, I can understand the creator exists for this phone, right? Say Apple company exists who created this phone. Now, let's take another one. The glass, the specs that I have, this exists. That means there's a creator. Say iCare, a company called iCare exists, which made this glass. So by Anumanam, I understand creator exists for cell phones, creator exists for the glasses, creator exists for all different laptop, creator exists for everything. But I don't know through Anumanam that all those different creators are one and the same, not Apple, not iCare, and not this company, that company, but the creator of many objects that we see in this world, this entire universe. There's only one creator, cannot be understood by Anumanam. Therefore, only through Shastra you can understand the creator of America, creator of India, creator of Jivatma, creator of within the Jivatma, different animals, plants, reptiles, and everything. There's only one creator. Creator exists, you can understand, but you don't understand by Anumanam. Everything is just one creator. That you can only understand by Shabda Pramanam, Sastra Yonitvat. And then the the fourth sutram says, Tatu Samanvayat. There is no use of understanding. There's really, one does not benefit anything by studying Vedanta Sutra, Vedas. There's no benefit. What is the use of me knowing God exists? So what? I don't really get anything excited about it. I don't feel anything. So what about it? And then Vedavyasa says, no. You do get benefit by knowing God exists, by knowing God is the creator, sustainer, Ishvara. He is Paramatma within everyone's heart. By knowing, you do get something out of it. What? How do you say that one? Well, say someone let me pick up someone here, Arun. Arun, you are our heavy contributor in the Bhagavatam class, so I picked you, honoring you. So Arun says that I'm just saying that your mom is coming next month here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is
Yes.
just a statement. That's just a statement. Your mom is coming.
Mm-hmm.
By hearing that statement, does anything happen to you?
Some kind of a positive feeling, some kind of happiness.
Your mom is, it is just a statement that your mom is coming. Okay, mom is coming. She has not come yet. You're not sure whether she's going to come or not, whether she has a visa or not. None of those things, excuse me, let me, thank you. None of these things are known. But only that statement you heard is mom. That's word mother, ma, amma, that word brought you some joy within you. Yes or no?
Yes, bro. Yes,
certainly, yes. So Vedavyasa is saying, what do you mean by you don't get a joy? By what do you mean that there's no any benefit of studying Vedas? Just by knowing these things, there is something which is unknown thing happens within one's consciousness, which cannot be expressed, which cannot be spoken. That will be a benefit. Thank you. You can mute now. That can be benefited. That can be benefited portion. Tattu samanvayat. So therefore, this four sutrams of the first four sutrams is a key sutram. If we understand this four sutram, then pretty much Vedanta Sutra, rest of the sutrams are a easy go to understand. Very easy go to understand. So that is what as Veda Vyas has done for us. He has done a great thing by writing this Vedanta Sutra. Jiva Goswami says, then what is about this verses, this particular verses that we saw today in today's verses? Jiva Goswami comments on these two verses. That, number one, that the manifestation of Srimad Bhagavatam is based on these two reasons. To show that mere knowledge of Brahman is insufficient to satisfy the soul. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be seen directly only through loving devotional service. These are the two important things that we need to understand. The reason for Srimad Bhagavatam to be manifested, and the reason Narada Muni is telling Vedavyas to compose, to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Then the question comes to our mind that what about the work that Vedavyas done? There's Mahapurana, many things Vedavyas has written. Vedavyas also composed Vedanta Sutra, Mahabharata. What about these things? Vedavyas himself is thinking, what? You want me to write something? But what about that which I've already written in other Puranas, other places? I have described the qualities and pastimes of Krishna. Why are you saying that I have not done this? Therefore, can someone else read, please? This.
You have not.
Yes, Prabhu.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. You have not described the glories of Vasudeva as much as you have described Artha, Dharma, Kama, and Moksha as the goals of human life. Artha, even though they are much inferior to the glories of Vasudeva. Though Vasudeva is the crest jewel of human goals, you have not described him as the goal of human endeavor. Though you have described the glories of Krishna abundantly in many places, they have been described only as a means of getting moksha. How can your mind be satisfied when there is lack of regard for that which should have been given the most regard?
So I don't need to explain what Narada Muni is saying here, right? Your focus is mostly on the Dharma, Artha, Kama, and then the moksha is a means. But where is anything more than that? And therefore now Vedavyas is asking a question. But I have described bhakti to be higher than the liberation in many places in other scriptures. Then Narada Muni says this one. Someone else can read.
But you have not done so repeatedly, na anubarnitaha. You must do so because it is said that the meaning of scriptures is revealed by repetition, as in Anandamaya Bhashyat. The Anandamaya Purusha is the Supreme Lord because of repetition of words to indicate this. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.13. Your mind will be satisfied only when you describe very clearly with repetition the glories of the Lord, since those glories alone are finally the most excellent.
So we'll keep moving here to conclude our session. So the conclusion is, in Kali Yuga, we don't have much time to go through all these different scriptures. And even if we have time, we have no interest. That's another problem. We may have time, we may not have interest. Even if we have interest, we may not have that knowledge to understand the inner meaning of what has been said in Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra is just Atato Brahma Jignasa. Come on, what does that mean? We have to know the language. We have to know the Vyakarana, Niruktu, Siksha, to understand all the different things. Even if you understand the inner meaning, there is possibility we may understand it wrongly. We may understand it wrongly, right? I may say, Pralad, go get me that one. In a table, I'm right now, I am writing something, right? And I'm running out of paper. And I see in the table there are paper, and there is also samosa. Okay, I'm telling Pralad while I'm writing, I'm running out of paper. I'm not telling anything. I'm telling Pralad, Go get me that one. And Prahlad is going to get me samosa. Right? In my mind, I am thinking, I want that paper. But Prahlad is thinking, I want samosa. So there is, even if I understand what it is, there are many chances that people may make mistake in understanding these things. Therefore, Narada says, you have spent so much time in those things which may not be appreciated well by not Satya Yuga people, not Trayata Yuga, not Dwapara Yuga, but Kali Yuga, by us. And more so ever, those literatures have their limitation. Who can study and who can't? The Vedas can be only studied by male. Please don't shoot at me. That is what has been said. Male should study the Vedas. Brahmana should study the Vedas. Right? If all these conditions are there, what about other classes, other gender? How can they attain God? How can they attain God? You're just restricted all this thing. So you have to do something, my friend. You have to do something. Therefore, he said, you please write. Therefore, you please write the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Srimad Bhagavatam, which can glorify the Lord. How to glorify the Lord? By chanting the names of the Lord, by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, by singing the stotram and slokas, which is written by the great saints, and applying the 10.9 sloka, Machita Madghata Pranaha, Bodhayanta Parasparam. Whenever we get along with our devotees, our friends, the main subject of our discussion should be about where to go for vacation, right? Where should we go for this place, that way? What do you think about that Mataji? What do you think about that Prabhu? He's such an, I don't like his smile. I don't like his beard. I don't like his hairstyle. I don't like the way he's putting his tilak. That is not, when the devotees comes, that's not the subject matter to talk about. By talking these things, we are just wasting our time and wasting our life and corrupting our consciousness. So as much as possible, when the chances arises, of course, we are all Grahasthas, there should be some sort of different things also, but we should utilize our time as much as possible to ask questions, discuss and cultivate knowledge and share our realizations, and possible, glorify other devotees, if possible. If you cannot glorify other devotees, at least don't complain about and criticize other devotees. So that is what 10.9 says. Brahmabhuta stage. Mataji, can you please read this? I think Ashok Prabhu wanted to read earlier. So Ashok Prabhu, can you please read this? We are almost done.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Brahma Bhuta stage, the conclusion is that in order to maintain the status quo of the Brahma Bhuta stage is also to increase the degree of transcendental realization. Narada recommended to Vedvyasa that Vedvyasa should now eagerly and repetitively describe the path of devotional service. This would cure him from gross despondency.
So Brahmabhuta Prasannatma, when one understands that they are Atma, they are not this body, and when they come to the point of understanding and pretty much having the vision of their self, but that is not the end of it. One has to go beyond that point to understand the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, the absolute Brahman, Krishna. Unless that happens, just being in the stage of this is not going to help us much. Therefore, for that stage to continue further, to understand that I am the servant of Krishna, I am Jivatma, I am not servant of my body and senses, I am not servant of this family, I am eternal servant of Krishna. For that to continue, one must study Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only way. And pretty much, I think this is the last slide, which is quite important. Manyatat darshanam kilam. Manyatat darshanam kilam. The translation of this says, I think that philosophy is inferior. Which philosophy in the purport we saw? We saw that is Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, we are going to focus on that Vedanta Sutra. Why it is inferior? Because it focuses on defeating the Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha means the objection raised by other school of thought. The focus is only on that. Because it doesn't glorify the devotional service directly. directly. Because it requires thorough knowledge in all the Upanishad. One cannot understand the sutras unless and until one studied all the Upanishad. We cannot relate what he is saying, because it requires one to be very familiar with 6 Vedangas. And because it directly doesn't mention Krishna, rather refers as Brahman, because it is in sutra form and hard to understand the deeper meaning of it. Therefore, Vedavyasa wrote Srimad Bhagavatam and instructed by Narada Muni to address the above issues that's there in the Vedanta Darshana. In the beginning, there was no commentary on Vedanta Sutra, because according to Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the real commentary of Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, Vedanta Sutra cannot be separated from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be separated from Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam wouldn't have come into existence if Vedanta Sutra was not existing. Vedanta Sutra wouldn't have come into existence if Upanishad was not existing. Upanishad wouldn't have come into existence if Vedas as part of Upanishad doesn't exist. Therefore, now considering these parts, it says that it is worthless because we cannot put a value to it. It is priceless. What we have, the Vedanta Sutras, Vedas, and everything is priceless, worthless, but it is not useless. It is not useless. There's a difference between selling something as worthless and useless. I go and tell my son, you are good for nothing, you're useless. Must mean he's not fit to do that activity. You're worthless means you cannot define a value to that particular thing. It can also be taken into a positive term. That is, oh my God, that is worthless. We can also think in a way that you cannot define that with some value. It could be no value, or you cannot define a value to that one. Therefore, the Shastras are great. And to understand that Shastras, what we have got is this Srimad Bhagavatam. What we have covered are the Vedas, the 18 Vidyasthana. We studied about Darshana of 2 categories, Astika and Nastika. And we saw why and what is the purpose of Vedanta Sutra. It is to establish Vedas, Upanishads, and about the absolute truth. And we also saw the viewpoint of Baladev Vidyabhushan, who supports it. And we also understood why the Srimad Bhagavatam was manifested through the lotus mouth of Jiva Goswami. With that said, I conclude here. As I said, I took a long time to complete this one, but whoever stayed this long, thank you. Or whoever could not stay, I'm sorry for that. And we can possibly have few discussions if you all have time. Anyone wants to talk and say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class, Prabhuji. So I have one question, Prabhuji. Like, so we have, I mean, I've heard this, Prabhuji, like we have something called as costless mercy, right? So, like, you know, like I was recently reading Narada Prabhu's, Lord Narada's, lifetime, wherein he was in, he was previously in his lifetime called Upabarhi, and he committed some offenses. He sang the glories of the demigods, and that's why he had to be born as a Sudra, and then he served the Brahmanas, then again, became very transcendental, right? So, is it because of the costless mercy, Prabhuji, like, or is it because of accumulated devotional services in previous lifetimes?
It is costless mercy. And also there are other reasons like Ajnana Sukriti. There are some pious deeds that we might have done unknowingly. Not that I want to do some good punya karma, but I did something without knowing, but that turned to be a punya karma. I really don't want to, for example, I want to go to Hawaii. Coming summer, I'm planning to go to, not really, I'm just giving an example. I'm planning to go to Hawaii for family vacation. while I'm going to the Hawaii, it's completely for my sense enjoyment. I want to just enjoy, do all sort of things over there, everything. But then accidentally, I end up into Hare Krishna temple over there in Hawaii. And, I was hungry. I don't know what to do. I ate prasadam over there. Not that I want to go to the temple, not that I want to eat prasadam, but on the way, while I was going to go to a casino, before going to casino, I took a break. Something is written in, familiar language. Hare Krishna looks like an Indian language. Let's enter and see what's happening there. I go inside and I see there is a deities are present there. I see that, not that I want to worship or chant. I saw that, and then some Prabhu over there saying, "Oh, Hare Krishna, where are you coming from?" "Oh, my name is Lal, I'm coming from St. Louis. Can you please stay for the program?" I came for a vacation to enjoy, not to spend time in the temple and attend program. Excuse me. And he said, "Okay, that's not a problem. Can you just take this Bhagavad Gita book with you? Just give whatever you donate." Listen, I'm not into studying Bhagavad Gita and all this thing. I have enough of things to study in my life. I don't want any books. I can't give any donation also, because I have already spent so much money. I can't do anything. And that Prabhu, kind enough, very compassionate Prabhu, he said, "No problem, no problem. You don't need to give anything. Please, can you please chant Hare Krishna one mala a day?" You're really putting me in a hard spot, Prabhu. I don't even call him a Prabhu because I don't know. Sir, what are you keep on pressurizing, put his pressure on me? Hare Krishna and all those things. I've seen Hare Krishna movie, how bad the Hare Krishnas are. I just came here accidentally, and that's why I thought these people are like this. And then no, sorry, please excuse me. You don't need to chant also. Okay, see you, Hare Krishna. And then this person doesn't even say Hare Krishna. One second, before you go, can you just take this laddu? And which I'm not going to say no to that one. Understand that something which can go inside my mouth, I will happily take when it's given for free. Okay. Do I have to give money for this? No, this is free. You can take, Lal, you can take. Are you sure? Yeah. Then I take it and then I put it in my mouth and walk. I don't need to do any of these things. Just coming closer to the step of the temple, that itself sufficient. I exaggerated more to this point, but just putting a step or coming close to the temple itself created an Ajnana Sukriti, unknown, untold, a pious credit, Punya Karma. That could be another reason also for one to get birth. And without any of this reason, Krishna is Swatantra. It means it's completely independent. He can just do whatever he wants with anyone. Those are the answers. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, and then Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for a wonderful class, Prabhu, and complete details on Vedas and why Vedanta Sutra has come into existence and Srimad Bhagavatam. So I have a question, Prabhu. You said Veda Vyasa has given Vedanta Sutra because there are some people who would reject the Vedas, or they have rejected the Vedas or not accepted the Vedas. So that is the reason he has to establish in the Vedanta Sutra. Is that right, Prabhu?
Correct.
Okay, if that is the case, and when he has given Vedanta Sutra, so those people were not in existence, like they came later, like in the Kali Yuga, those people who have not accepted the Vedas.
No.
They come into picture.
Many of them are contemporaries. Many of them are these Shastras, Nyaya Shastra, Sankhya Shastra, all those things are not that only happen later. Those philosophy, Charvaka philosophy, Bhauta Matam is, for just an information, Bhauta Matam is not just started only after this, the Buddha that we are talking now, from over, he migrated and came, Buddha. It existed way long back. So these philosophies of against Shastra was already existing at the time.
Okay, bro. Had Veda Vyasa given Vedanta Sutra before, or he did this in the beginning of Kali Yuga, right, Prabhu?
Vedanta Sutra was done long back.
Oh, long back.
Yeah, long back. It is not in Kali Yuga.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Kali Yuga, towards the beginning of Kali Yuga, I think he compiled everything, like segregated and
these things
compiled in a documented format.
All these things that existed.
Existed. Okay.
Writing into putting into a leaf, palm leaf, or written format happened later.
Including Bhagavatam, Prabhu.
That is what the glories of Bhagavatam says. It is.
Okay. So Bhagavatam also existed before and he compiled again later after
That is
this.
how Acharya says, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for your wonderful class. If you have some time, could you briefly elaborate on the Vishishta Advaitam? What is the main tattva of Vishishta Advaitam?
Oh, Vishishta Advaitam is where first understand Advaita means oneness, one, which means Atma is only one. It is not many or it is not two. Dvaita means two. Advaita means there is no second. That is Advaitam. There is no second means there is no second existence of anything for that matter. That is Mayavada philosophy. There's only Brahman. There's only God exists. Brahman exists. There is no Jivatma. There is no Prakriti. None of those things are there. There's only one Tattva called Brahma Tattva. Everything else Mithyam. Everything else is nothing exists. And what about us then? I have to tell this to understand Vishishta Advaitam. So please give me some time. Okay. Unless until we understand Advaitam, we cannot understand Vishishta Advaitam. So Advaitam is only one Atma exists, and that is Paramatma. There is no second Atma, and there is no Jivatma also. That means all work assembled here, we are all a bunch of illusion. But among us, there could be one Atma, that could be Paramatma. Over here or outside this conference, this Zoom call, there is someone who is at Paramatma. When that Paramatma comes to, when he hears a Mahavakyam from the Vedas, some statement from the Vedas, Aham Brahmasmi, that is one of the Mahavakyam. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. When he realizes that he is Brahman, the ignorance are gone, then he is situated that all illusions are gone, finished. That is Advaita philosophy. It's quite an interesting philosophy, by the way, to understand that philosophy. And a lot of beautiful examples is given. Convincing examples are given in Advaita philosophy. Vishishta Advaitam. Vishishta Advaitam also speaks about oneness. Okay. In the previous philosophy, Advaitam, that one Brahman, who is one, doesn't have Namam, doesn't have Rupam, doesn't have Gunam, no qualities, no name, no form. None of those things are there. In fact, that Brahman is not called he or she. It is called it, it, it. Right? It doesn't have any guna. Now, when it comes to Vishishta Advaitam, Vishishta Advaitis by Ramanujacharya also agrees there's only one absolute truth, Brahman. But that one Brahman as Vishesham, Visheshanam, Vishesham. Did we see that Lakshanam? Lakshanam means Visheshya, Visheshanam, the attributes. Like Priya Mataji has a short haircut with a blue colored shirt. These are Lakshanams, right, of yours to define you. Like that Brahman has Vishesham. Vishishta Advaita means that one Brahman has Vishishtam. Vishishtam means attributes. In the previous theory, that Brahman does not have any attributes. In this theory, Brahman has attributes. What are the attributes? The two opulences. What are the two opulences? One opulent is this Prakriti, which is Achetanas. Achetana means all the material things. And the second one is Chetanas. Chetanas means Jivatma. Isn't it everything falls into this two category? Yes or no? Please nod your head. Only two things, everything can be categorized only on two things. One is Chetanas, another one is Achetanas. Chetana means that which has consciousness, knowledge. Achetanas means that which doesn't have consciousness. Everything falls into two these things. And those becomes the attribute of that Brahman, which means they are all part and parcel of that whole Brahman. The God is with this as parts and parcel is Vishishta Advaitam. The God without these attributes is called Advaitam. The one, this parts and parcel cannot be separated. My black color cannot be separated from me. Remember, I've given this quite a few times now. This black color of mine cannot be separated out of me. It is with me. The Jivatmas and Prakriti cannot be separated from the Paramatma, the supreme absolute truth. It is one and with him as a bundle, part and parcel. And that is why that Brahman is one with these part and parcel is called Vishishta Advaitam. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, that makes
You
sense.
didn't ask me, but I'll complete this one for the sake of completion. Advaitam means same thing, but the Jivatma, Prakriti, and Paramatma are separated or separated. They are not like my color, which cannot be separated, but it is separated. They are all they're connected, but they are separated. They function separately. They are not, there's no connection to it. Let me finish with Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva. What Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva says is that, guys, hold on, stop. One says that, is one, other says it's totally different, that is not separated. These things, understand that it is connected one and the same, and it is separated by the same time. So Bedam and Abedam. Bedam means differences, Abedam means no differences. There's no differences between these because they're one and the same, and there are differences between these two because they are different by any way. How do you say this one? My dear friend, it is inconceivable. Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. It is not conceivable by ordinary human being to understand these things. That is the philosophy of Gaudiya Sampradaya. And there are other Sampradayas, which can go on, how they all differ slightly in the way that their theories are. Does it help, Mataji?
Yeah, it very much helps, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
But, believe it or not, they are all wonderful schools of thought. The way that they bring their philosophy to front to argue the other one. Again, we are not into the debates and arguing, but when you study these things, it just strengthens and brings faith in our scriptures, right? No one can ever break our faith. So it is important that we cultivate knowledge in a humble mood and share the knowledge like how we are doing, like here. Okay, with that, any
last question, sorry. So in Advaita, do they believe in personal aspect of the Lord? Only in Vishishta Advaita and Achinta Bheda Bheda and Dvaita, they believe in personal aspect of the Lord, right?
Yes, in the Advaita, there is no person.
Personal aspect. Okay.
There's no person at all. It's impersonal, right?
Impersonal. Okay.
It is impersonal. But in Dvaita, person is accepted. In Vishishta Advaita, person is accepted. Achinta Bheda, person is accepted. But not in Advaita philosophy. Because there's a problem if they accept God as a form.
Difference.
It's going to create some inconsistency in their theory. Therefore, they kept it very simple. Why to get into the body, form, qualities, or nothing is there. When Adi Shankaracharya was asked by his mother to go get some flowers for puja, okay? His mother, when he was a young small boy, mother told, go get some flowers from the garden. We have to do some puja. And the boy went there. And then mother told, get 10 flowers and come. And the boy, Adi Shankara went there and he went to the flower. And he was picking. Mother was waiting for him to come. He was not coming. So mother came out and saw. He plucked the first one. Yekam. He plucked out the second one. Yekam. Second one. Third one. Yekam. Fourth one. Yekam. Fifth one. Yekam. Everything, he pricked pretty much 100 flowers, but he was keep on telling Yekam, 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 Yekam. And mother said, my dear child, you didn't go to the Patashala? Are you cutting the school and going and playing somewhere else? You are so big now, you should know 1, 2, 3. After 1, Dvav, Traya, Chatura. And he was saying 1, 2, 3, 4. Mother was teaching. Mother, what do you mean? I don't see anything other than 1 here. Everything is 1. Everything is 1. There is no second here, mother. Just imagine, we cannot, it is not to criticize Adi Shankar, it is to glorify Adi Shankaracharya. He was so much into his understanding of Brahman that he saw everything as one. Everything as one. Therefore, his philosophy doesn't have second, Dvaitam, only one, Ekam. To bring that point, he certainly cannot add attributes, cannot add forms, names, nothing. Therefore, he is formless.
Thank you very much.
Prabhuji, do we have some time to ask another question?
We are almost going to be 9, doesn't matter for me. We can close it at 9.
Just one question. Sorry, Prabhuji. So like, as we know that you also mentioned that like Bhagavatam is the natural commentary of Nyaya, or like the Sutram, like the Vedanta Sutrams. But then Bhagavatam is also called like Mahapurana, and Puranas come under Smriti. So how do we categorize Bhagavatam, under Nyaya or Smriti?
It doesn't fall under Nyaya Shastra. So it is comes under Smriti. Comes under Smriti.
Okay, so like, but the Nyaya, Vedanta Sutra comes under Nyaya, right?
No, please understand, Nyaya is a separate school of thought. Nyaya is a separate school of thought. Like how yoga is a separate school of thought. Likewise, Vedanta Sutra, which is Uttara Mimamsa, is separate school of thought. Darshana, separate darshana. But here is a very important thing to understand. Unless and until one is familiar with Nyaya Shastra and Mimamsa Shastra, one cannot really understand the Vedas and the Upanishads. Therefore, Nyaya Shastra plays a key role in understanding the logics and the way that the Vedas say certain things. Therefore, Nyaya Shastra is important, Mimamsa Shastra is important to understand the Veda Shastra. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I understood the question. Maybe I can talk in detail later, maybe. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, you can explain in a better way your question later. Offline, we can talk.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Arun Prabhu, yes. And then Rajeshwari Pan Mataji, I think you can go next.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
In Prabhupada's book, The Science of Self-Realization, right? So he's mentioned that those who don't get a chance to complete the devotional service in this lifetime, they are born in rich families in the next life to help continue the devotional service. So he's emphasizing that if we are born in a rich family, then it will be easy for us to not run for money, or and then we can continue the service, right? So that time will we be having that past life this one to help continue in a rich household.
Say I'm going to go to a party. I'm wearing this white kurta, right? I'm wearing white kurta. And then I'm not party. I'm going to go to the Rajeshwari Mataji's house program tonight. So I'm going. While I'm going, on the way, something I'm carrying in my, I'm carrying a glass of juice or something is spill on my kurta, and there's traces of those whatever has been there, right? Now, before I go there, I don't want to go to a house like this, dirty. So before I reach there, what I try to do is I have to clean that one, correct? I clean that one, and so I can go to and present myself over there. Now, the question is, should I start investigating how this happened to me before I reach to her house? Should I start investigating how this happened to me, or should I work on finding a solution? What should I focus on?
Work on finding a solution.
Yeah, very good. That's what I would do too. We are born in the high-class family. We're born in the Brahmana family, right? We are born in these families. Rather than investigating, or we are born in the poor family, for that matter. Okay, I'm extending your question. Doesn't matter where we are born. rather than investigating what happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm here, let me find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find a solution to get out so that I don't need to take another birth again, whether I remember or I don't remember the past life. But my current condition very well tells that I have done some papa in previous life. No question about it.
Mm-hmm.
And little bit punya must have done.
Mm-hmm.
But majority, what I've done is papa. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But rather than analyzing to or trying to remember what I've done in the past, because I don't have much time to or strength to or knowledge to do that one, I can utilize that time to not repeat this again in this lifetime to get another body. Therefore, solution is what we have to focus on rather than trying to find the root cause of what happened. Root cause is very clear. Raga and dvesha. Raga and dvesha, attachment and hatred are the cause which is due to the rajoguna. The reason for me to behave and accumulate all my karmas. Now that I understand that thing, let me be careful not to do that one and progress towards Krishna. Okay?
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, Rajeshwari Pran Mataji. Did that, is it okay for you, Arun?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Rajeshwari Pran Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
And we can make
Thank
this
you so
as
much.
probably a last question and we can close it.
Thank you so much for the nice class, Prabhu. I have a comment and a question, Prabhu. The comment is, I don't know if the whole thing was so good, and my tiny brain, some of the things
I will
went
share
above
this
my head.
presentation. I will share this presentation.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Actually, I was going to say, as long as it's in the YouTube, our temple website YouTube, then we can always, whenever there's a question about Vedas, we can always go back and listen, Prabhu. That was my comment, and thank you so much for taking time and explaining everything, Prabhu. The question is the follow-up to Priya Madaji's question about Shruti and Smriti. The question is, you said the Upanishad is a secret, like listening, sitting next to the Guru. So in one sense, Bhagavad Gita is a Upanishad, Gita Upanishad, but it is kept in the Mahabharata Purana and under Smriti. So how do we? So is it both?
Yeah. Sarva Upanishado Gavava Dokta Gopala Nandana Partha Vastu Sudhir Bhoktam Gitam Mahatmyam, right? Sudhir Bhokta Gitam. What is the last one? Sarva Upanishado Gavava Dokta Gopala Nandana Partha Vastu Sudhir Bhokta Duktam Gita Amrita Mahate. Duktam Gita Amrita Mahate. Is Mahate. It is glorified as great because it gives the essence of all the Upanishad. Therefore, like how Divya can be representing you as a mother. When she comes to my house, I have to respect and give importance to her as if you come to my house. But she is not you. But still I have to do that one because she is yours. Therefore, she is equally yours. Upanishad, Sarva Upanishad Gavaga. All the Upanishad essence are put and condensed form and given in Bhagavad Gita. They are as good as Upanishad. Therefore, it is Gita Upanishad.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I think we can end here. It's exactly 9 o'clock. Couple of hours. It was beautiful spending time with you all and wonderful question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. I don't have any question. Beautiful class. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. I want to give you a special thanks because in the last minute I burdened you, with all your other responsibilities, and you gracefully accepted and gave a wonderful class for us. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the opportunity and keeping me on my track. Devotees become active only when there are unexpected things comes. Otherwise, we become lazy. So you made me. I was going to sleep, and so you understood. You're like almost like a Paramatma. He knows I'm getting lazy, complacent. So you called me and gave me a service. Thank you, Prabhu. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhavevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah ananta kodi vaishnava nikijai. All glories to Prabhupada. Please forgive me for any offenses. Thank you, Hare Krishna.